This is Wilson Morales from Black Film TV talking to the one and only Naturi Naughton-Lewis regarding her new film, Courthouse King, which is playing on BET Plus. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you, Wilson, as always.
When the trailer popped and people, immediately connected to it, judging by the amount of people talking about it on social media, they're ready to see you in action. What did I do to take on this role?
Well, for starters, the fact that I've never done an action movie and this was my first opportunity, I was offered the role by BT Plus, Wes Miller, the director. And I read the script and I said, oh, wow, this is not just an action movie. It's a great story and a storyline about our justice system and the judges and just the corruption within it. I couldn't wait to play Judge King, and I couldn't wait to show people, they've seen me as Tasha, but they really haven't seen me go this hard. And Judge King gives me the opportunity to show another side.
Early in the movie, we see you working out, getting your training on.
Yes, yes.
How much of it is real? How much of it have you done before?
All real. Never done like karate or any kind of fight training like that ever. So this was actually my first time, and I was a little nervous, honestly. We shot the movie in New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey. Shout out to Jersey. I'm from Jersey. And it was intense. I did 2 weeks of strictly Silat. Silat is the type of martial arts that I was studying. And I trained, I did all the stunts. I learned all the gun work and the gun training. And mind you, I found out right at the top of the shoot, I was 6 weeks pregnant. So I shot the whole movie pregnant from 6 weeks to 12 weeks. And that was the biggest, I guess the biggest challenge was just being morning sickness, nauseous, and nobody knew. I hadn't told anyone except me and my husband, obviously, but it was a little intense doing that role while pregnant, but I got through it.
So basically, when you were given certain scenes, did you have to talk to the director and be like, listen, just so
Well, there were certain
can we go light on this or can we get a stunt double?
well, I had a stunt double who was amazing. She's great. Everyone has a stunt double because there's certain things, obviously, like certain kicks to the stomach or rolling around. I didn't do any of that because I didn't, want to get hurt. But the director didn't know I was expecting, so I would just curtail it myself, and I would say, "I'm gonna let my stunt double do that one." Or, Lance and I had a moment, and he just recently said on a panel, he was like, "Now it's coming back to me." There was one part of our scene where we get kind of physical, and I told him, I was like, "Just watch my stomach," because he was kind of getting close to that area, and he didn't think anything of it then, but looking back, he's like, "That's what that was about." I was totally pregnant. But I think for the most part, the stunts empowered me. I felt strong as a woman. Even during pregnancy, I was working out, staying active. You gotta, and the reality is pregnancy is also, an amazing, empowering thing. So I felt pretty good.
You're also playing a mom. Obviously, you're playing opposite Tobias, who plays your
Yes,
husband in the movie. And I just saw
he's
him
great.
recently.
Yes, he's
How
from
was it like
Jersey
playing a
too.
mom again on screen?
That the role is, I mean, yes, I am a mom, but the role is not the way Tasha is a mom or the way any other character I've played, because it's not focused on her momhood per se. It's focused on her job and her obligation to the people. However, always playing a mom is a very natural instinct for me. Obviously, I have a 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old, and now my baby, who's upstairs right now, is 5 weeks old. So I just had a son. I think playing a mom in this just again tapped into my natural instincts to be a protective person. I'm very nurturing. I'm very protective. So I take that really seriously when I play a role. So I think it was natural for me.
You mentioned the politics in this movie. After doing this, and you obviously played a judge, and I'm sure you did a little bit of research about what
Yeah.
do you now feel empathy, not necessarily empathy as far as what they got to go through, when they're trying cases like, murder case or anything of serious crimes.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I actually spoke with two judges, criminal judges in the system who are actively working on the bench and getting their advice and listening to their stories about just like the misconceptions about what a judge does and how difficult it can be, and also the level of pressure, to make sure you're sentencing correctly. But it's hard. And I also just got a chance to dig deeper into the justice system. And this movie shows sometimes we are judging people because of what they look like, the color of their skin, where they come from. So many innocent men and women, particularly of color, are incarcerated wrongfully. That was another reason why I wanted to do this movie, because when someone is innocent, it takes a judge or someone to really dig deep into the actual facts in the case to reveal that, you know what, we were getting ready to send this innocent man to prison. And I just thought that's happening too much in the real world. So why not explore that in this film?
Obviously you're the lead female in the group, although there are
Yeah,
other
you don't get
women.
many action movies with the black female lead like this.
Nah, certainly not. But you're working opposite Jason, working opposite Tobias, and you're working
And
opposite
Lance,
Lance. So you're on more pages than everybody else. So for you, having done a lot of work, whether it's TV or the films, what was that feeling like when you're getting the script and it's mostly you for the most part?
scary, a little nerve-wracking. It was it was a challenge that I was ready to step up to. I'll say that. Because, obviously doing power for now almost 10 years, I feel like my brain has had a lot of exercise on various episodes and lines and scripts changing. So my memory had to be sharp. Omari and I, we used to always say, because Omari has an excellent memory. He can like look at the pages and code, just remember it. So he actually made me step my game up. And I was like, okay, I got to figure out how to remember all of this. So when I got the Call Her King script, even though I have a lot of judge talk, a lot of material, things that I'm not used to talking that way, I was sometimes having to do like, like tongue and mouth exercises just to make sure I could get the diction and the tone of what a judge would sound like. So that was challenging. But honestly, my memory has been exercised so much by power that when I got to this, I was like, bring it on. I'm ready. This is a challenge that I'm ready to be on every page. And having the guys kind of support me was really nice. When in most cases it's a female character supporting the guys as like the lead in an action movie.
Mhm. Speaking of power, obviously, we all watch Ghost. We all watched Ghost before it originally aired because people couldn't wait.
Why? Why did
You
y'all
know,
do that? That's so
hey,
shady.
Fiends, you can't say that there's a week off because of whatever programming. Folks are online. It's like, what? And they share and they share.
I know, I heard.
That's the beauty of hey, at the end of the day, it's like it's a
Blessing and
beautiful
a curse.
show when people are fiends.
They
Can't
are.
wait 2 weeks. You
They
know,
can't be patient.
I had a friend of mine text me, asking me like, "Yo, send me the link." I'm like, "I can't do it." And then she found it on Twitter, and then she called me back an hour later to said she found the second episode.
Oh
Finale,
no. Yeah.
they couldn't wait. They're like, so obviously, it was such a surprise to see you come back and the way you and the manner you came back. And
Yeah.
everybody now wants to know, is Tasha gonna come back, more on Ghost? Is she gonna move to Chicago, team up with Tommy? What are your thoughts?
I mean, all that sounds really cool and very fun. I mean, I love working with Joe Shakora, and having Tasha and Tommy in a scene like we did in the finale was really cool. I was excited when I read it. And of course, working with my son, Michael Rainey Jr., we're like a team. So being able to have the original family structure together again was really cool. Of course, it's not the same without Ghost for me, but hey, we're trying to live on. But Tasha is definitely someone that I would say, she's always in the wings. She's always ready to pop out, and her spraying Monet and sorry, spoiler alert.
That's
But
new, but that's new. Here's the thing, like when Tasha killed Keisha, that was out of necessity. She went
exactly.
after Monet. That's not necessarily out of necessity. That's like, oh, she got confidence now. She both.
Well, yeah. And she did a drive-by too. What in the world?
Yeah.
I read that and I said, "Oh, Tasha's legit badass," which actually was right before I got the offer for Car King, which I had to do some similar physical, shooting scenes. But I think Tasha is just fed up. She's been away. She's not seeing what's going on. Being in WITSEC is driving her crazy. And she was just like, Monet, you keep effing with my son, you gonna get it. And she got it all right.
Well, technically, she doesn't need to be in Witsec because, as far as everybody else knows, Tommy is dead.
Yes, but she knows that he's not. And Tommy has been trying to get her
Yeah,
to
but
kill.
they kind of had an
They pieced it
understanding.
up now.
They
So
have an understanding now, so she can kind of like Tommy is dead.
now,
She mentally knows, although she can't say that she and Tommy are cool now, so she can kind of live her life.
to an extent, she can. Now that Tommy is not, looking for her to kill her, she can kind of live her life. But I think she's created some new enemies and there's some new threats. So keep watching. I'll say that. This season upcoming is going to be continually interesting in pure power fashion, power ghost fashion.
Between Power Ghost, obviously Cora King, what goes into saying yes to the projects you take?
You know what, Wilson, what I do when I get an offer or read a script or, even auditioning for things, a project that I say yes to, one of the things that I look for is, does it tell the truth? The first thing is like, is it something about this character, the story that has some real, truth to it? Even if it's a fantasy sci-fi, it's just what is it based in? Where's the truth? Then vulnerability. I love vulnerable characters, even the ones that's strong. Tasha, if you think about it, she's strong on the outside and seems like she had it all together, but really she just cares about her family. She wanted her husband. She's trying to protect her kids. She's vulnerable. And even with Judge King and Call Her King, she has some vulnerability. So vulnerability, the truth, and I always love to be challenged. I like doing things like even with Little Kim, I knew that was going to be hard. And I was very like a little nervous and scared. If I'm a little nervous and a little scared and I'm challenged, I say yes. Because you got to run towards those challenges. You got to embrace that difficulty. Every role can't be easy. And I think I've done well with that and I have fun.
You mentioned Little Kim. We're talking about the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Obviously, you started Notorious. What can you say about hip hop now? Are there any favorites you remember growing up in terms of like you're gonna still hear today that keeps you going? That like, okay, that's the song I want to keep dancing to, no matter how old it is.
Yeah, there's certain classics, right? First off, yeah, shout out to hip hop as a genre, being able to celebrate 50 years and beyond is crazy because now hip hop is not hip hop, it's really become pop. And it's so popular in many cultures, which is why so many cultures try to appropriate our culture. But anyway, that's another story. But I think hip hop has grown in some directions greatly, and in other directions, we've taken various twists and turns that I think we should get back on the straight and narrow. But I love people like Biggie. I cannot sit down when I hear Juicy. I have to get up. Like it's not just because I was in the movie Notorious. I love Little Kim, Crush on You. All about the Benjamins. Get Money. Every time I'm at the club, they start looking at me with the microphone when Lil Kim's verse comes up. Get money, niggas. Bet to grab a seat, grab on your.
You
It's just,
see,
and
you
I
can still
go.
barble.
Oh, it's in here. But the other things I grew up loving, like Tupac, Dear Mama is one of my favorite. Like I love that song. Keep your head up. And I used to have a big crush on LL Cool J. So I just remember songs like Doing It and Doing It and Doing It. Wow, like LL Cool J. Hip hop to me back in when I was growing up was more about either revolution, self-expression, how we can break the mold and tell people what our experience or what our struggle is, just like civil rights. Now hip hop is just kind of like changed its tune, and I hope that we get back to some of the revolutionary aspects of it.
It's all about time period and where people are at. And, obviously there are a lot more platforms. I guess back in the day, there was a limited amount of platforms. So you had to work with what you got. Now that there's an array of platforms out there,
You're right.
there's hip hop for all genres, of all for different audiences, as we get older, so we're not recognizing some of the music, we grew up to, you just got to bear, and say, appreciate what we remember and just keep playing that on our iTunes, on our phones, and
Exactly. Just some of
that's
those
it.
old school,
In the
and the new
meantime,
school, I like some of the new school too. So if you had your mix, you just mix it up and keep the party going.
Yeah, but right now you got Courthouse King. People gonna get a watch to this. We won't go into the details of this movie to whether or not
So
there could
good.
be a follow up with this character, see more of the judge. You never
Funny you
know.
say that.
So you never know if Wes can come up with this. If the feedback is good enough,
Hmm.
you know, we see where we can go next.
Yeah,
If
we
not
had
this
our.
film, the next film. Now that we know she can do action, let's
Oh
put her in another big action movie. Let's have her do some scuba diving, get in the
yeah.
water.
Oh wow, you put me in the water already?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
you got to be
You
game.
trying to work me.
You know,
My goodness. No, I love that. And a lot of the audience at our premiere, we had a premiere in Harlem and then one in Camden, because we shot the movie in Camden, New Jersey as well. And people kept asking Car King too. What's going on with that? Like, I'm like, we didn't even let us get to July 6th. Watch it on, if people support, that's the key. Go to BT Plus because it is streamable now on the app. Make sure you watch it and support, talk about it, tweet about it. And hopefully, there will be a Car King too. Just wait and see.
that's all you can say. Well, congrats on the role. Congrats again on motherhood. Congrats on being back on Power. People love to see you.
Thank
You
you.
are a fan favorite of sorts to different people. So keep it
Yeah,
going. I've been there from the beginning, so I'm going to always continue to support you. So keep it going. We'll talk again on your next project. Take
I
care.
appreciate. Thank you so much, and thanks for your support always.
Yeah.